Thank you for joining, everybody. We've got our presentation today on combating phishing attacks. I want to let everybody know my name is Brittany DeFilly. I'm the Educational and Outreach Coordinator here with Vertex. We really appreciate everybody joining us this afternoon. Today I have Cian Blackburn with us from KnowBe4. Cian has worked in the technology field since 2006, and she's happy to share some of her knowledge on security awareness training and phishing simulated tests. Because everyone understands that one wrong turn, one wrong click, that's all it takes for cyber criminals to get access to your network. And teaching users, that's the hardest part. Before I pass it over to Cian to go over all her content, I'm going to let everybody know we're going to be monitoring the chat and question windows throughout the presentations. So if you want us to dig further into a particular topic, please let us know. Lastly, we are going to be recording this presentation, and once it's completed, I'll send out a link to the webinar to everybody, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel. With that, Cian, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany. I'm excited to be here sharing my knowledge with everybody today, and excited that people want to learn. It's definitely a crazy world out there right now, especially in regards to cybersecurity and hackers and just, you know, things getting a little out of control. I think in Q1 alone, there was like a 667% increase in phishing emails, hacking attempts, things like that. So really unprecedented times, as I know everybody knows that we're in right now. So this is definitely a hot topic and things that a lot of corporations are looking into, to investing in, so they can stay around in the future, right? So without further ado, I just have a couple of slides on who KnowBe4 is, our methodology, where we came from, and then I'm going to jump right into our dashboard and show you exactly how everything works. So when you have a question, go ahead and type it in there, and Brittany will go ahead and interrupt me and let me know what it is. I can answer it on the spot. So as you can see, our mission is to enable your employees to make smarter security decisions every day. And we have over 30,000 customers, which is actually more than our two closest competitors combined. But I think more the point of this slide is to show that, you know, this is in every single industry. It's not like there's one, you know, market segment that is having this as a problem more than others. Hackers are literally just like blanketing the market space to see whoever clicks, right? And our CEO is Stu Showerman. He founded Viper Antivirus more than a decade ago now, obviously. And I think it was through that process that he really realized that antiviruses are just a dime a dozen these days. It doesn't matter how much money you put into your security technology, how much, you know, if you have the best one out there, it's kind of like hackers like challenge accepted, and eventually they figure out a way to get through and to get to your user's inbox. And it's really, they really are your last line of defense. So that's when he sold off KnowBe4, sold off Viper, and started KnowBe4. We've been around for about 10 years now, and he brought a ton of those security professionals over here with him. So we are really a security company at heart. You know, obviously really focusing, we've kind of coined that human firewall, your last line of defense. They're the hardest ones to control, right? Like your human behavior, right? So trying to figure out how they'll stay on their toes and not click on those links is no easy task. So we've tried to simplify that for you. And I think what's been the biggest key to our success has been our methodology. So we really suggest that you train your users at least once a quarter, you phish them at least once a month, and then we have tons of reporting tools to help you analyze how your users are doing. We would say, like, the two biggest complaints you see with phishing or with training is people don't want to take it. It's boring. They don't have time. And then even if they are taking it, are they actually learning? Like, how can you tell if you're actually changing behavior? So we've really focused a lot on both of those, trying to make training very relevant, very entertaining, short. We'll go into a lot of those videos throughout the presentation. And then also different kinds of reporting tools to really show if you are changing user behavior. Because our goal really is to more even change the culture of the organization, to realize that, you know, maybe you got hired for, you know, payroll to issue paychecks, but you're also hired to keep your company safe. Your company's not going to be there if everybody doesn't play their part to keep the company safe. So really focusing on that that piece as well. I always like to compare it to me learning Spanish growing up. I took Spanish for like 12 years, right? I took it high school, middle school, elementary school, a little bit in college, thought I was going to have a job speaking, like being bilingual and making all this extra money. And, you know, now all I can say is hola, como estas, right? Because I stopped learning about it. I stopped using it. I don't know, you know, anymore. So just like with anything in life, if you stop learning about it, then you're going to forget. So it really is that continuous little bits of education that you get over time that has your users remembering what to do. And so what we do in the very beginning is you're going to take we're going to send out one initial simulated phishing email. You don't tell your organization that it's coming. You send it out to everybody, right? Secretary to CEO, to see how everybody responds to it. And so then you'll get a report back that shows all the details, right? Who, what, where, when, and how. But the biggest thing it's going to show you is the percentage of people that clicked, and we call that your phish prone percentage. So now you can have a baseline to go off of. And so then you let your employees know that you're going to do security awareness training, and you start implementing it, doing the trainings once a quarter, phishings once a month. And you see it drop down at, less than half after 90 days, and then all the way down underneath a 5% average after a full year of implementing it. So pretty dramatic results as you do that continuous education. And then we always like to show, we're very excited. We've been the leader in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for quite some time now, but this year we pushed, or past July, right, when it came out, we pushed as far ahead as you could possibly be in the leaders quadrant. So we were really excited about that. And I really think, like I said before, it's our methodology of trying to create very relevant, entertaining type trainings, and having the right reporting tools to really understand if your users are learning, and to be able to train them a little bit more intelligently based on how they're learning, right? And then finally, whoops, sorry, it froze for a minute there. We have, before we jump into the console, the security awareness training, which is what I'm going over today, is our biggest, our largest piece of the pie of the product that we offer, our bread and butter, right? We also, which I'll touch on a little bit today, is our Fishy Our Tool, which is a triage tool to help you analyze real life phishing emails. So we'll touch on that a little bit. And then we do have, for anybody that has compliance related type things, if you have like an audit season, or maybe you're trying to become SOC 2 compliant, you're doing business with the government, HIPAA, PCI, things like that. You have like an audit season where your hair is kind of on fire and you're trying to rush to get all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. This platform helps you keep organized all year. So then when it comes time for that audit, you are prepared and ready for it. So it really simplifies that process for you. And that's a whole separate product. So we have a whole separate team that does that. So if anybody's interested, definitely let Brittany know, and happy to set that up individually. All right, let's jump into our dashboard. So right off the bat, now this is cloud-based, right? Everything is hosted in the cloud, and this is the admin view that we're looking at today. So it's not what everybody in the organization will see. This is just what the admins will see. And you see right off the bat that your company will get an overall risk score. So that's based on each individual user getting their own risk score. You see over time how your company does, and the little dial over here, but let's look at the users and see how each user gets their own risk score. So you'll first see all the users listed down here, right? Or you can type in each, like a person's name, and search. And you can click on that person and get some specific information on Fritz. We like to pick on here. So Fritz, as you see, he has that same dial, same little graph over time. And it's based on these 5 main factors, right? So first is the exposure. With our subscription, you'll get our email exposure check, which scours the internet, the dark web, for anywhere that hackers your email address might be listed, right, for hackers or really anybody to take advantage of and start sending you malicious content. Your job function, often, people in finance, people in IT, executives tend to be a little bit more of a targeted individual. Behavior is how often you're clicking on phishing emails or simulated phishing emails that we're sending out, right? And then training is the amount of training you've taken and passed. And then boosters, anything extra that admin wants to add that's outside of these 4 other factors. Maybe you know that person has already clicked on a real life phishing email, or maybe that person readily shares their password with other people inside the organization. Whatever it is, if that admin feels like that person's a more risky client, they can give them a little extra boost. And then you also will get to see their own personal phish-prone percentage, right? So you see Fritz here has been sent these 5 different phishing emails. You can hang over these little check marks and it'll tell you the date and time in which he's done that action. You can also click on this little envelope over here and it'll pop up with the email, being very slow today, that he received. And as you see, we have like the domain spoofing and everything like that. You can spoof as many domains as you want. We don't have any limit to that. You do Mickey Mouse at disneyworld.com. We also use logos. You can, and it's not that the logos, we just have like a warehouse of logos sitting around somewhere. It reads back to the website. So say Pizza Hut logo, they updated that logo in their system tomorrow, it would also automatically update in our system to help keep those templates as realistic as possible. It's just what the hackers do as well. And then you'll also see the training that Fritz has been enrolled in, right? How long he's taken, how much time he spent, all that kind of good stuff. And then a whole events timeline, step by step, everything that's been going on in regards to security, or his security awareness training. So you can see lots of details on each user in here as well. And the way we sync up our users, you can import them manually or with a CSV file, but we also do have an Active Directory application. Most of our customers are on Active Directory, and it's just a very lightweight app. It sits on your server, but it's a one-way highway from your system to ours. Absolutely nothing reads back. And you also get to pick and choose what information you want synced up over with us. So obviously we suggest things like names, email addresses is obviously things we need. But titles, right? If you guys have, so then that helps with that, with the organization's risk score, right? If we know their titles. We also have it set up to train users in groups, right? So based off of their, their job role. So a very common phishing email we see is somebody in payroll maybe getting an email saying like, hey, my bank account number has changed. Can you please update my direct deposit to this new bank account number, right? That's something that is targeted in payroll very often versus somebody, maybe in IT or sales or something like that wouldn't get an email like that. So you want to train the people in payroll on what to look out for in those types of things. So we do have it set up to train your users in groups. So if you have those groups in Active Directory, you can sync them up as well. You can have manual groups in here too. You can have a hybrid of both, however works best for your system. You also have the ability to have security roles, right? So if you wanted to have one master admin over everything, and then maybe you have just one admin over HR, and another just in IT, or however you want to set it up, you have the ability to do that as well. But we try and make it pretty flexible here in the users. All right, let's hop into our mod store where all of our training is housed. Mod store is short for modular store. We have over 1,100 pieces of training content to choose from, which I believe is the largest library for security awareness training in the world. So we've really tried to start, there you go, working from home, as many of us probably are today. So we can search by different content types, right? So we've got the training modules where there's slideshows, videos, it asks questions throughout, it asks questions at the end. It gives you an 80% or higher to pass, right, is what you need. We have gamification. Video modules, I think, is where we really started to change the game and where a lot of people take advantage of the training the most. We've come out with a lot of TV series type training modules or videos. So like this restricted intelligence, for instance, if you see it's only 6 minutes long. It's season, 7 of episode 1 of season 7, so there's 7 seasons of these guys. And they're all about, it's like a TV series, right? Where you get to know the characters with the storyline, they build on each other. It's actually quite interesting. These restricted intelligence are very funny, entertaining to watch. Obviously, we've started to come out with a lot of the COVID-19 best practices, a campaign notification. I do want to touch on, there's a lot of companies that may be like, gosh, I just don't know if now is the right time to implement security awareness training. There's so much uncertainty everywhere. I don't want my employees to be concerned about, failing tests or not taking trainings, and they might already be concerned about furloughs or whatever the case may be. And so this video is a really nice video that talks about why it's being implemented now, and why it's more important now than ever, right? If anything, with people working at home, they're very distracted with possibly kids or whoever it is at home, while they're trying to focus. Their security measures for working at home are not as in place as you would be in the office. And just the stress of of everything that's going on right now. And that is what hackers capitalize on. It really is a feeding ground for them right now. So it really goes over all of that and why it's so important right now, and not that, the company's like trying to take advantage of them by any means. We also have this Inside Man series, which is what I was searching for. And that is a great series. It is almost like a drama that you would see on Netflix. So like the first season is where they were already on season 2, where company A is paying this inside man to infiltrate company B because company B is going through a merger, and company A will make more money on that merger if they have that insider information. So it goes into, how this guy gets into the building, gets a job there, and, starts being able to provide back the insider information. But it's really a good, sometimes you don't even realize that you're learning something about security awareness training till the end, where it kind of goes over what you're learning. So again, I think these video modules is definitely where we have really tried to focus on that problem of people not wanting to take training. Almost, like I said, the duration, 5 minutes or less. There's, let's see, definitely more of those. Something must be clicked. Being very slow today, but we definitely have tons of all the different ones in different lengths, really trying to focus on, everybody's attention span. You want to take it once we suggest you take it once a quarter, but we also suggest that you have like remedial training and training based off like, maybe things that are going on in the environment. So, a lot of people will be like, I don't have time to take training for 30 minutes, so this is hopefully overcoming that objection to taking the training. We also have like the newsletters and security documents that you can distribute, posters and artwork you can hang up in the office. We really do see that when you create it, almost like a marketing campaign, that's when you get like the best results. So you would get like, say April is creating safe passwords month, right? So you have posters hanging up about how to create safe passwords, why it's important. You distribute a newsletter about creating safe passwords. You do a training about creating safe passwords. And then maybe at the end of the month, you do a phishing email asking people to update their, what if you have Office 365, it's time to update your Office 365 password type of thing. So it really helps drive home those different messages and people to buy into it. And the last thing we have here is the assessments. I'm not sure. I must have something else clicked. I don't know why it's not bringing it up. But they, oh, here we go. I don't know what's not clicked. But the assessments are basically 2 different kinds, and it grades you on a bunch of different kinds of security awareness training where our security, it's, like creating safe passwords, phishing emails, social media, malicious websites, tailgating, right? Letting people into the office that you don't know. And it asks you a bunch of questions on all of those. We had to do them internally when they first came out. It took me maybe like 15 minutes to do. And then the admin gets a report back on how all of that went. and how everybody's grades were. And then we have a feature where you can actually start to say, you know, I scored low on, you know, creating safe passwords, but high on spotting phishing emails. Well, it'll automatically start getting more training on creating safe passwords and maybe less training on phishing emails, right? So it can help you train your users a little bit more intelligently based on the, you know, their results from the assessment and their education level. But I think just, you know, again, just the point of all of this training is just to really target different people in different walks of life, whether you're a millennial or a baby boomer, or you're in healthcare or finance or, you know, retail, whatever you're in. We also, you know, so say you are, you know, in healthcare in the United States, you know, and you want to know, like, okay, well, what should my executive and leaders take in healthcare, right? You can kind of search by that, and it'll drill down and show you what each person should be taking. You can also search KnowBe4 creates our own content, but we also have contracts in place that have acquired these companies that also create training. So that's a big way how we get so much different training content. And you can also search by, you know, popular topics, right? Different like CEO fraud, malware, social engineering. If you have compliance type things. We do have some HR type training in there. We actually even have like an active shooter training. Unfortunately, that has become more and more of a problem these days. Different popular topics people like. So, you know, it really isn't just about like, oh, there's, you know, an email from the Prince of Egypt and he's going to send you $1 million. You know, there's so much more sophisticated, so much more going into social engineering these days. We really try to cover the gamut. All right, let's jump into our phishing. And we'll look at some of our email templates we have. So they're all housed, most of them anyways, are under here, the system templates. So we could even look at some of these COVID-19 ones that we've come out with. So Americans track stimulus checks, you know, so you can click on the little eye and it shows you kind of what this email looks like, right? And you can, and you can also edit these too, right? So if you wanted to, you know, click on the link and make these a little bit different, you know, you can edit this somehow, you know, add a different image, you know, you can type in people's names, put in a specific grocery store, you know, whatever you want it to do. You can edit them as well. So you can, you know, you can edit your own. You can also create ones from scratch if you wanted. Honestly, sometimes the best ones are created from scratch. Say you announce on Monday you're going to do a company potluck on Friday, and then on Wednesday you send out a, you know, simulated phishing email asking if, you know, saying like, oh, we're so excited about our company potluck. Please click on the link below to tell us what you're going to bring, right? So those are all great ones too. These ones that say not a PST, these are, so PST stands for phishing security test. So these are ones that they wouldn't actually click on. They're just ones that, you know, you send out to your users just to let them know, to be aware. You know, so this is all about like phony phone calls happening now that you're working from home. So those are always great as well. And let's look at our, you know, we have so many. Definitely so many to choose from. So what happens is they click on that phishing email, they'll go to a landing page, right? And the landing page is where you can get some educational ones. So we actually have this COVID-19, oops, that was a phishing email. Right? And it's a little 1-minute video about how you can stay safe. My internet's being very slow today, so I apologize. I'm not going to wait for that to load for you. Or you could, you know, sometimes like you said, like, you know, say you have Office 365, you send them an email that says, hey, it's time to update your Office 365 password, please click on the link below to do that, you know, and then they'll go to a page that looks like this. They would have to enter in their email address and phone number and click next, and then they could maybe go to like that coronavirus email landing page or whatever you wanted to do. But this is actually considered a double failure, right? Not only did they click on the link, but they also entered in information. And then important to note, we don't record the passwords and stuff that they entered, just that they actually hit like keystrokes, right? We don't want them to know, or we don't want to know what their passwords and IDs are. Our most common one are these social engineering indicators landing page, where, let's see, it highlights in red what they should have caught. So they get that email. As soon as they click on it, it'll embed it into this landing page. And these are, you know, you can change these as well. You can put your logo here, change the color. It doesn't have to be orange. But it'll highlight this is the exact email they just clicked on, right? And now it's highlighted in red what they should have caught. So you kind of hang over it. It gives you a little bit more information. So it's great on the spot training, right? As soon as somebody's done that action, they understand what they should have caught. So tons of fun landing pages like that. So I will show, we don't have to necessarily go into, you know, if you guys are interested in purchasing, we can definitely go into how to create these campaigns in a little bit more detail. But I think the idea that I wanted to touch on as well is that it's not designed to be a very labor intensive, you know, it's a kind of a set it and forget it type of thing where you kind of name the campaign what you want, deliver it to, you know, you pick what groups you want it delivered to. You can pick as many groups as you want. Maybe you want, you know, auditors and human resources, how often you want it to go out. You pick the start date and time. You can have that emails all sent out right when the campaign starts, or you can have them sent out over the course of time, which is really great. You know, so not everybody's getting that phishing email all at the same time. You put in your hours of operation, the track activities night. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Being able to stagger it is a lot of people, right now with so many people being out of the office, you're not really having a lot of people around the water cooler saying, hey, you know, I just got this phishing email, did you get it? But typically if you don't stagger it out, you've got these people in the office that are telling people that. But with that option, it gives you that. You can stagger it. Nobody knows what's going on at the given time. So that's a great option.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very important one to have on because it helps give you the most realistic, and you know, the most realistic results as you possibly can get, right? Because you know that people haven't been able to tell each other that a phishing email has been going around, because everybody's getting different ones, you know, or getting it at different times. The other, what I was getting ready to say too, is you can also, so here is like you pick out which, you know, categories. Maybe you want to do all the coronavirus, and you want it to only be like 4 stars. 4 stars is a little bit harder. So you come over here and you would choose, you know, which ones you want, or you can do full random. So full random is going to send a different email to a different person. And if you have it already up here at different times, you know, they'll get it at different times too. So it really is eliminating what Brittany was just talking about and what we kind of call the prairie dog effect, right? Of somebody popping up from their desk and being like, hey, did you just see that, you know, that Pizza Hut email? Like, don't click on it. Because everybody's getting a different one at a different time. So it really is, you know, highly suggested to set it up that way. And then the track activity. So if they, you know, say you set it up to go out over 3 days and somebody's out of the office those 3 days, they come back in and they see that, you know, simulated phishing email in their inbox on day 4, they click on it. They'll still be part of this campaign's reporting. And if you've set up remedial training, which is pretty easy to do, you would just set up a group called clickers and a training called clickers, and you add those clickers to this group right here. And so then if somebody were to click on this phishing email, they'll get enrolled in that remedial training. They'll just get an email right afterwards that says, hey, that was phishing email you just clicked on, please, you know, you've now been enrolled in this remedial training. You have however long to take it, right? So that's a good way to track people as well. And then you add, right, your landing page, whatever landing page you want. So the idea, you know, like I was saying in the beginning, it's to set it and forget it. You could set up all your phishing campaigns for the entire year if you wanted. And then the only reason you'd come back in here is to check to see how you're, how you're doing in regards to your reporting. So nice and easy there. And so you would click on, so these are the different campaigns you're running here, right? So you click on the campaign to get those reports. You'll see the failures in the first 8 hours, failures by day, failures by location. You can zoom in on those locations. Let's go back to users here. And it'll show you how many people opened, how many people clicked on it, the clicks, because it'll show you like the locations, the browser, all that kind of good stuff, IP address. You get lots of detailed information there. All right, and then let's go into the training actually to show you how do we do the training campaigns. We'll just go over that a little bit. Very similar to those phishing campaigns, right? You can name it whatever you want. Pick the start date and time. Have it end on you can have it end on a specific date, or you can have relative duration. So if you wanted to do something like onboarding or something, so when somebody starts and they have, however many days, weeks, months after they start to finish that training, you don't have to come back in here and every time somebody starts, like set up a training for them, right? It'll just automatically enroll them as they've been enrolled in the Active Directory. And then here is where you pick, however much content you want them to take, enroll in your group. Here's a really nice feature where it helps make it be automated. So say you do want to do that Inside Man series, right? And you have group 1 is enrolled in episode 1 and group 2 and episode 2 and so forth. You can add campaign completed users to group 2. So as soon as they're done with episode 1, they would automatically be enrolled into group 2 and be enrolled in episode 2. So they'll get an email right away that says, hey, thanks for taking that training. Here's episode 2, right? So if they did want to like binge watch the whole episode in one day or the whole season in one day, they could, right? Without you doing anything. It would just automatically set them up for that. And then you can do the add notifications, right? Well, you do need to do add notifications where, you have them get a welcome email, a reminder after enrollment, a reminder before the due date, at campaign completion. You can have their manager included on that so they can be aware of where they're at in their training. And then, just hit the create campaign. So really it's all, again, designed to be very, very set it and forget it. And so let's see, the reports that you would get, right, is very similar to where it's like who signed up, who has not signed up, who started their courses, who has not started their courses, that they have incomplete courses. We actually have the ability, if you guys have any like policies, say you have a policy about, maybe using your personal device for work, and you want people to read and acknowledge that, you can actually attach that to the training. So store purchases, this is a little bit of a misnomer. This is just kind of where you save off all the trainings that you want to do trainings on, or set create campaigns of, and then you just click on it and you edit the module. And, you either add the link or upload the PDF, click update, and then now that policy is attached to that training. So at the end of the training, it'll kind of pop up and say, hey, your company requires you to read and acknowledge this policy to consider this training complete, right? So that's a nice way to track things like that. And then also, let's look at what the end user experience is. So, right, they're going to get an email that says, hey, click on this, and ironically, click on this link. You've been enrolled in security awareness training. And it's going to take them to a page that looks like this. And we have it in Spanish right now, and it's giving me a little tour. So the first time you come in, it's going to give you a little tour. And then you'll see all the trainings that they've been enrolled in. And so you just click on the one you want to watch, and it'll pop up. Right? And then if you do choose a training that happens to be like, 30 minutes or less or more, or something like that, or maybe I think 15 minutes is the minimum, it does let them, say they have to exit out of it in the middle, or they have a meeting or a phone call, something happens like that. When they come back into the training, it will allow them to pick up where they left off, so they don't have to like start from the beginning every single time. But we also have it, and I'm sorry, it's popping up in Spanish, but you also have it where you can have like teams, right? And we have certificates and badges. So, you know, we're kind of geeks over here at KnowBe4. So we have like the X-Men and the Avengers and the Justice League, and, you know, trying to create some healthy competition. Whoever creates all their, finishes all their training first gets to be like a cyber hero or a pioneer or something like that. You know, you can give out those little badges or certificates. You can create your own from scratch. That's so funny. Oh, here, go back to English. I don't know why it automatically populated in Spanish. We are an international company. We do have offices in other countries and have trainings and phishing emails and everything in different languages, obviously, lots of different languages, actually. We won't go into all of that. But if you do have a multilingual staff, we can definitely accommodate. All right, so that is the main meat and potatoes of the actual security awareness training console, right? Is the phishing and the training piece. We do have some fun other ways. Our phishing, right, is voicemail phishing, setting up similar as we set up the other campaigns. So like a popular one is maybe somebody calling, claiming to be from HR, saying, hey, you know, this is your HR calling to let you know that your healthcare options have changed. Please enter your social security number to hear your new options, right? And then maybe they would enter it in, and then obviously we would just know that they entered keystrokes. We wouldn't actually record their social security number, but then a voice might be like, okay, great, somebody from HR will be calling you back shortly, you know, or something like that. Or they could say, you know, that was a phishing call. You shouldn't have entered in your information, you know, whatever you want them to say. But that's a great way to test out. And that's just one example of a bunch of different options you have. They can call direct dial your cell phones. And when everybody is back in the office, we also have our USB drive test where you provide the USBs, we provide the documentation, and we just load it onto the USB drive. You leave it around the office, you know, maybe leave it something enticing like Q1 salaries or Q1 promotions, I'm sorry, or salaries or something like that, and see who picks it up and plugs it into their desktop. You'll get a report back on who's done that action. So that's definitely a very popular way hackers try to get into your system. So it's important for people to know. Is there a question?
I'd be surprised how many people, you leave that sitting in a parking lot of your business, and how many employees would pick those up and be like, oh, what did I find? So that's always an interesting one that most people don't think about.
You don't know that that's a way that people are trying to get into your system, and how easy it is really for them to do that way. So it's a good little test, especially if you leave your USB drives open for people, you know, on their desktop. So good. And then what I also wanted to touch on was, so one of our free tools is our Fish Alert button. So if you haven't been to our website yet, definitely check it out. Or actually, I think that I could even work with Brittany to send you a link to get this downloaded if you guys are interested in doing that. You could reach out to her, and we could definitely get that set up for you. But it's basically what it is. It works with Office 365, Outlook, Gmail. That's what it looks like. Basically, if you think that you have a phishing email, what would happen is you just click on this little fish hook. It'll immediately delete it from your inbox and forward it to whoever you have looking over your email, you know, to whoever you have, if it's your help desk or what have you, to review that email. But it does really three great things, right? If you're doing a simulated phishing campaign, you know exactly who's catching it and reporting it. If you're not, if it's a real life phishing email, you can handle that a little bit more efficiently. And obviously, it's just great awareness, right? It's just sitting there right next to your send and receive folder, you know, reminding you, like, is this a legit email? Were you expecting it from this person? Do all the links match up? You know, all that kind of good stuff. So this is a really great tool that we highly suggest everybody use, whether you're a KnowBe4 customer or not. And then what we were talking about in the beginning too is our Fishy Our Tool. So that kind of goes along with that Fish Alert button. And basically it's where, so if you guys don't have a help desk or, you know, a process really in place to, you know, analyze these emails that are getting reported to figure out if they're malicious or not. And we actually saw, especially even more so as people got more and more trained, they you know, the amount of emails that were getting reported skyrocketed, and, you know, their IT team just couldn't handle the amount of emails that were getting reported, to really dive in to find out if they're malicious or not. So that's where the Fishy Our Tool came in. So it's an emergency room, if you will, for phishing emails. And the idea is to get as many automatically resolved as possible. So what would happen is you would create rules, and it also uses machine learning to automatically categorize these emails as either a malicious email, a spam email, or a clean email. Yeah, go ahead. Is there a question?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So what we would first do is when you come in here, you would go into the rooms, and it'll show you, you know, it'll kind of group things together, right? So, you know, you had 17 emails with this attachment. You had 17 emails with this, you know, from this URL. So maybe this is the same one. Let's click on this, you know, one from Wells Fargo. And so you can actually, you know, we've already seen it as spam, but if we want to look at it, let's look at it, and they'll open up and you can preview the actual email, look at the raw message, any headers. You know, if there's an attachment, it'll go through a virus total scanning report. You know, look at domains and URLs. So you can kind of go through all of that, you know, and you're like, all right, yep, this is definitely spam. It also really helps you to maybe understand everything that's getting through your firewall, right? Or your spam filter, whatever it is that you have up. Because this is everything that's actually entering, you know, what's happened is it's gotten through everything. It's gotten to your user's inbox. Your users looked at it and then like, I'm not so sure about this email, and they've reported it. And that's how it ends up here, right? So it's kind of a nice single pane of glass of everything that's getting through, you know, what you have up. So you could even change configurations and, you know, in your system based off what's getting reported. You know, so it can help out that way as well. And then you can also set up actions to where, you know, maybe it has automatically deemed it as malicious. So you want to send an email back to that person saying, hey, that was malicious email. Thank you for sending that. Like, did you click on that link, or did you do what it asked you to do? So you can handle that a little bit more efficiently. Or you can have it automatically send an email back when it's a clean email and say, hey, you know, thanks for reporting that, but that's actually a clean email. Like, go ahead and do whatever it's asking you to do. Or even a spam, right? That's actually a spam, or that's, you know, whatever you need to click on, and, you know, to stop sending you those emails, or whatever the case is. So it can be a good teachable moment for your end users, or your end users as well, because they might just start reporting all kinds of things that really are not malicious. You know, if they're just spam or whatever, they can, you know, pick out a little bit better what might actually be bad emails. So, and then also actually we have this, you know, where you can look at the report, so you can see like who the typical senders are, how much they're sending, and what they've been categorized as, you know, all that kind of good stuff. You can also look at the percentage of reporters, right? So you can get lots of good reporting type of information, the types of domains and URLs you're seeing. And then finally, we came out with Fish Rip, which is really great. So once, this is brand new, it just came out a couple weeks ago. And basically what it is once PhishER has deemed that email as malicious, then it will search your network, and wherever that email is listed in other people's email boxes, it will rip it out of there. So essentially, you know, removing that threat. So whether it's in their inbox, in their trash, in their, you know, filed away, it doesn't matter. It'll remove it from their email. So it's a really great, highly anticipated tool. It just does it automatically as soon as you set up, you know, it to deem things as malicious. And the rules that you create are Yara rules, so very simple rules that you can implement in here to be able to find out, or to be able to categorize. So that's a separate feature outside of the security awareness training tool. We actually do have some customers that just have this and don't have the security awareness training, but it really does go nicely together to help you, you know, kind of analyze those phishing emails that are coming in. And then I think really the last thing, we could leave a little bit of time for questions at the end, is just, right when you get signed up, you'll be guided to our automated security awareness program or a task tool. And it just is like a quick, I think it's like 20 questions, and it just more asks about your organization, your industry, what you're trying to accomplish. And it'll spit out a project plan of how you should implement security awareness training, right? A step-by-step, all the way from engaging your stakeholders to communicating it with your employees, all that kind of good information to really help you, hold your hand. You also will get a customer success manager from KnowBe4. That is free with every console that we resell. They help you with all the implementation and are basically your lifeline back to KnowBe4, for the length of your contract. So they're there to help you get your users onboarded and enrolled, get that Active Directory application set up, help you pick what trainings to start with, how to progress, what phishing templates to start with, how to progress. They really are a great resource and free when you sign up. So we ultimately, really want our users to use the console, right? We want you to have a good experience. We truly want you to not get hacked, and we think this is definitely the best way to, help prevent that from happening. So we want to do everything in our power to make sure you're getting that. Oh, actually, there was one more thing I was going to say. I feel like we also have, this is where our advanced reporting tool is. So this is also something we came out recently, where you can literally type or say anything in here that you want to get that report. Give you some ideas down here, right? Or there's some different kind of like categories over here. So like a group report card's nice. You can look at like maybe accounting and be like, okay, how's my accounting team doing? This is their overall risk score and their fish prone percentage and things like that. So you can compare and contrast, different groups and over time and things like that. I know I said kind of in the beginning how we try to do the detailed reporting. This is definitely a big part of it. And that, I believe, is all I have. I'll give it back over to you, Brittany, if there's any questions or comments or anything anybody would like me to go into further.
Nope, I don't see any comments right now. If anybody does have any questions, we'll stay on for a few more minutes. You guys can jump in and ask any questions you'd like. If there's anything in particular you want her to dig into, we'd be happy to do a private demo of the system. Just send me over an email. Everybody on the webinar will get a link over to this, and you can just reply to that email if you want her to dig in and show you any of the testing, any of the reports. And we can also do a couple of the free baseline testings as well.
Yeah, let me ask one, ACN and Brittany, this is Don. Let me ask one last question is, one of the things I've been asked a couple of times by several of our clients is they'd like to have a kind of a set of monthly reports they provide to leadership or management to kind of let them know things are working. And I know a lot of these can be done on demand, but do you have a recommended schedule of here's a couple monthlies we recommend, or can we schedule a couple monthlies that are recommended so that they can distribute that information to the leadership about how their risk score is improving and how things are getting better because of the tools?
Yeah, we definitely, and I'm sure Vertex has experienced it as well as our customer success managers. But yeah, they'll set you up with, whatever types of reporting you're looking for to be able to get. And every industry, I feel like it can be so different with what they may want as, as if they're looking for maybe your, like you said, like the overall risk score, a fish prone percentage, or whatever, just like over time going down. And the amount of the kinds of trainings and things like that. But we definitely, I think you get automatically with KnowBe4, you get automatic emails, that give you kind of a broad overview of what's going on. And if you wanted more information, you could go into here. But yes, yeah, we definitely have it. And that's kind of why you have that customer success manager. So you can kind of tailor those types of, generic reports. I don't want to say generic, but, high level, more reports that you want to give to your executive team on like a monthly or quarterly basis to show, return on investment.
Great. Perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good question.
And
Okay,
with
well, we'll
that,
go ahead and conclude the webinar. I think anything last you want to add there, Brittany, before we sign off?
nope, I think with that, I think we are good. I don't see any other questions coming in. So thank you everybody for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar.
Awesome. All right, everybody, have a great day.